I would also say be authentic. Where I have plenty of the young ones that'll come in and they'll say, who should I PC? No, you have to decide that, because what's going to happen is you need to love what you do. I always say, if your collection went to zero, like a lot of our 80s and 90s cards, would you still love to look at it? So no matter what happens monetarily, be authentic in what you do and what you collect for yourself. Of course, there's the trading and the money part. But if you do that, you can live with anything. So that would be my best advice.
Hello, everybody. Tracy Hackler, and we're back again. Episode number 6, Roadshow Roundup, and we have a ton of stuff to get to. But before we get to it, I got to introduce the folks that make the Roadshow run. We have Ryan and Justin Channels from the California Roadshow in Sonoma, California. We have the elder statesman, somewhat, Trey Huntsman, who runs the Kentucky Roadshow in Lexington, Kentucky. Cody Krim, Texas Roadshow, Mansfield, Texas. Kevin Kulikowski, who is also a basketball tournament champion, who runs the New York Roadshow in Bronxville, New York. And we come together again to give you must-know updates on everything that's going on in the Roadshow. And there was a lot going on. I think 3 of us on this screen were in the ATL, I think is what they call it, Atlanta, for Culture Collision. Kind of our first show together. We previewed it last week. We executed it in the days since. And Cody, Kevin, thoughts on the Culture Collision?
Cody, you want to start off?
Don't speak at once.
Sure. So I thought it was great. I think the foot traffic was good. That was something we talked about a lot. Was not necessarily everyone was buying, but there was a ton of foot traffic as far as people coming by the booth very consistently. The Saturday crowd was awesome. As typical shows, Friday and Sunday, definitely not nearly as busy as Saturday. But I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a great show for us to kind of come together. We did the National last year that a lot of us were at, but we didn't necessarily have that big of a space. We basically had the space that we were started out having in Atlanta this weekend. And but it was good. And I think it gives us a little bit of foreshadowing into not only the next couple of shows that we're going to try and do before the National, but also the National. And I think, me and Tracy and Kevin talked multiple times about the size of the space we ended up with at Atlanta compared to the National and things that we would like to see happen. And it's only February, but I think, we've all been in the card industry long enough to know the National seems to sneak up on you every year, and definitely not too early to start planning for that. So I think we got a lot of good experience. The sales were good. Got to meet a lot of people. The autograph guests were great. The basketball tournament went off flawlessly. I'm sure Kevin's going to talk more about that. So overall, I think it was a great success for a road show, and potentially another show we'll be going back to again next year.
Yeah, no doubt. I agree. Kev?
Yeah, I mean, I think worried probably isn't the right word, but the Friday crowd had me a little concerned. Friday was dead. And, we've all been to Dallas shows where Friday is sometimes just as busy as a Saturday. So to have the start that we had, we thought we were going to be in for an uphill battle. But I think by the time, Friday was done, we did all right. But then Saturday was nonstop. And I will say that by the time Saturday afternoon rolled around, my dogs were barking, and I just had to sit at some point because, that was a lot. But, it wasn't always because of selling things. It was because I was too busy winning championships in basketball that made my feet hurt. So, yeah. No. But realistically, I mean, I think this is the second Culture Collision. it's a big show, right? We know that it's a big show. eBay was the primary sponsor of it, and there were a lot of moving pieces. And I think going forward, the growing pains that show had of just like organization, those will solve itself. I was interested that like it was interesting to see there wasn't much outside of the sports card world there, though represented. Like it was advertised as, there was going to be a lot of comics, a lot of streetwear and sneakers and all that kind of stuff. And shockingly, I would say it was probably like 90-10 sports cards. I will say shout out to the folks who made the sneaker candles. Bailey picked up a couple of those sneaker candles, and those things were pretty cool. But yeah, overall, I mean, I think it was a great sort of coming out party for the Roadshow team on a large scale. It was nice to get the man behind the scenes, David, at a show and sort of understanding the show structure and how we want to tackle shows as a company. And it was fun. I mean, I think most importantly, we all enjoyed each other's company, and it was great bonding and hanging out when we weren't wheeling and dealing.
Real quick to your point too, Kev. Like I had a lot higher expectations, I will say, for specifically me, comics, but also being a sneakerhead in training. I had higher expectation for shoes for sure. But me and Chase, I actually like really buy a lot of comics. Like we're fairly big into the comic game. And more Chase than myself was actually looking to pick some up. And there was like 2 tables in the whole show that had comics. So that was kind of a letdown. So I would say to the audience, if you're going to that show and looking for stuff other than sports cards, like just know 95% of the show is going to be sports cards. But I will say on the sports card side of things, some of the biggest dealers in the country were set up there, and some of the best dealers that I personally know were there with pretty big presences. So the card side of things was pretty impressive with who they were able to get to the show as far as dealers are concerned. But like I said, if you're going for comics or shoes, they haven't actually grown. It hasn't appeared that they've grown that segment of the show yet to its fullest potential.
I agree with both you guys. This was such an important show for Roadshow because it helped us kind of kick the tires on some things that we need to get better at, and revealed things that maybe we hadn't thought about, and maybe how we operate differently in a show environment versus a shop environment. All valuable stuff. All in all, it was a great win for us as a company. The Roadshow Select repacks were, I mean, I opened, I don't know how many I bought, 5 or 6 myself, loved them, except for one card. We don't have to rehash that. We ended up having a really enjoyable IG live session with them on Saturday night. Was it Saturday?
Yep.
And that was fun because the whole team was in the hotel room. Dubs was there, me, Kev, Cody, Bailey, Chase, Jimbo, Wampa, and obviously our founding father, Jimmy Mahan. So that was a lot of fun. And a lot of people commented on how cool it was to see kind of all of us together. So hello, everybody. Well, there's nobody here yet, but they will be soon. Roadshow Select Repack launched exclusively at Culture Collision. All right, so
let's see what we got in here
for David Sharp. Oh, by the way, the special key, I know the guys are opening boxes with keys. This is not just a key. This is Jimmy Mahan's key. His lucky key.
Yeah.
It's we don't know what it opens, but
neither does Jimmy Mahan.
neither does Jimmy.
All right.
Probably, it literally could be in my apartment in Pinehurst from 2000.
He's opened the key to my heart. That's the key to my heart. Okay, here we go. Roadshow Select.
I can't fight this
feeling. All right, Sharpie, here you go. Here's number 1. Nice blue velvet pouch. We're going to slow roll this. I've seen this design before, I think. And it is, I can't see the name. Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Seinfeld fame. She can't dance. That's it.
pretty cool.
It's a great card.
It's number 2, isn't it?
Yes, number 25 of 60.
She went to the high school where I'm from.
That is more to come on the IG Live stuff. I think that's a victory formation. But then, so you guys went back to the show on Sunday, the Culture
Yeah.
Versus show. I hopped on an early flight to head to Phoenix, Arizona to meet the distinguished Trey Huntsman for the TOPS Industry Conference. And Trey, I want to get your take on kind of your first TOPS Industry Conference.
It was great. Yeah, we met out there in Phoenix. It was nice to have a couple days just to get out of the shop for a little bit, kind of be in a different environment, be around a lot of really great people at TOPS. Kevin O'Neill and whole team there, actually get to spend some FaceTime with them. But the conference itself was awesome, getting to hear from Josh Luber, the Fanatics team, hearing from all the different divisions of TOPS. Kind of for the first time, I really feel like hear Luber really talking about what they're going to be doing with hobby shops, because we've heard Fanatics and TOPS talk a lot about, their direction that they're going to go. But for the most part, this was the first time we got to hear a lot about their direction with hobby shops.
Yeah, that was it was cool to hear those guys talk, because they've said, Cody and I have talked about this. I think we probably all have at some point together talked about how much we dig what they're saying about the future of the hobby, the growth of it, and the role that hobby shops will play in that growth. And to hear them reiterate that for 2 days in Arizona was refreshing and reassuring. And I think we're in for a wild but successful ride with them at the top. And Josh Luber is cool. Like those dudes were very, as transparent as you can be as trading card company executives. There was no BS really thrown out.
Yeah.
They answered what they could, and what they couldn't, they tried to address. And if not, they'll address it later, I think.
There really wasn't, you could tell it's not like they had some form answer just like ready to go. Like, we're going to pump this up. I mean, it's like, no, we're going to be honest with you. We can't tell you this right now, but there's a good chance that this might not work for you or this. And for people that have been really worried about hobby shops with Fanatics and everything, some of the part that he was talking about, that the way that they're going to grow is by working with hobby shops. He was saying, like, this is all a hobby. That's who we're going to have to work through. We want the data from hobby shops to know what's selling, how we can improve, how we can get new customers in the door. And it was really interesting to hear him be transparent with other hobby shop owners and people that weren't just asking, like, where's my redemption for, an hour and a half, which is actually what happened. And I was like, Josh Luber, he knows where your, Kenji Jojima redemption is from 2007. Outside of that, it was cool. They had Julio Rodriguez, the top prospect for the Mariners, and Edgar Martinez came out when we were at Top Golf the other night. And I just want to go completely on the record here. Top Golf, Tracy Hackler over here, like, not going to be seeing him at Augusta.
Okay.
Later.
Wow.
Listen, hold on. In my defense, I'm a lefty, and the bay next to us had like Angelo Exarchos from Universal in Canada. Great dude. Used to train George St. Pierre, so I wasn't going to ask him about could I have his clubs. But the bay next to us had like 11 lefties playing in their bay. So every time I went to get a club, all that was there was the driver. So I just hit driver the whole night.
He was hitting nukes. I will say that. It's just some unlucky bounces.
Yeah.
Right. We were playing with Craig and Eric from Loop, Mikey B and his brother Marcus. It was a pretty good group that we had, but it was fun. Let's just say Kevin wasn't the only one who pulled out the dub.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Let's go. Trey, you took it home?
Oh, took it home. Took it to the
Good stuff.
I'm teammates with champions. That's all I'll say.
That's all that there is.
That's all.
And then next day was good as well. It was just a full Q&A session for, I think, Kevin O'Neill, Clay. I think Jeremy was on. Was Jeremy on that one? I can't remember. David.
Yeah, they did. David Liner. It was David Liner, Josh Luber, Clay Laraski, and then the product development panel.
But it was the product releases were pretty awesome to get to hear those to start off the year. Some really cool products, some new leagues that they're bringing out with baseball, bringing back Topps Pristine, That's going to be really awesome. The one I was probably most excited for out of baseball was the Topps Gilded, where it's like they're going to bring like a fractionalized sample of Transcendent, and it's almost going to be like, imagine like if Gold Label and like Transcendent kind of had this little merger, and it's going to be kind of interesting to see what they do with that. A lot on the soccer front too.
What's the name of that product again?
Gilded. Yes, it's
Do we
cool.
think we're going to have more baseball games played or baseball products released this year?
Products released.
Products 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just
We
want
should
the
play
Mets
that
to
game.
do
That might
good.
be 0. That one of those sites might have 0.
We should
Right.
flip that up and play that same game with basketball.
Ooh.
Yep.
It's true.
Are we including like Fast Break and Choice?
Yes.
Yeah.
Team-all.
Oh, well, then there's that many Mosaic products.
Well, there's only been 2 products released, right, so far.
No,
Three.
we got Donners. We got Donners. We got
Yeah.
3 now.
Mosaic.
I think I saw something where Origins
Elite.
might be coming soon too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Next week,
Um,
I think Wednesday, we have Origins, Contenders Football, Prism, EPL,
Man,
Opening Day.
what a release week. Opening
This-
day,
That's
that's
just
ironic.
Wednesday. Because then you get Friday, you've got, I think there's a WWE product and then Finest
Mm-hmm.
and a couple others next week. Like, I mean, next week it's going to be completely full. I think every sport has a release next week, if I remember correctly.
That'll
Even
be
Star
fun.
Trek.
Nice.
Yes.
Oh, I pulled a Star Trek card out of my. Well, no, I did not. Bailey pulled the Star Trek card of Leonard Nimoy, and then I traded her. I traded her 2 of my non-sport or entertainment repacks for hers because she's a sport. Yeah, so I agree. The one of the most asked questions at the Topps Industry Conference was, "Hey Tracy, what does it feel like to be at a Topps event?" Nonstop.
Like the entire time at this opening reception, me and Tracy are just walking around. You know, we're just talking to all the people that you normally see at these things. And then just some random person would just walk up and be like, you know, just asking Tracy what it was like to be at his first Topps event in 20 years or whatever. And it was pretty much the whole weekend.
Yeah.
I asked Tracy, I said, how much would it take for me to go up to the panel right now and just say, like, tap the mic and say, you know, first time, long time. I wanted to ask, what are your thoughts on Tracy
Friend of the
Hackler
show.
leaving Panini? Yeah, friend of the show. Wanted to ask what your thoughts on Tracy Hackler leaving Panini and the effect that it'll have on the hobby. I'll hang up and listen and just sit back down. And Tracy said all the money I lost on roulette. So
Yes. And they would have said
it would have been a
"Who is
lot.
he?"
Like I would have done pretty well with that.
It reiterated how much I love this industry because a lot of the best parts of this industry are the relationships that you make and the people that you get to know. And so many of those people were there, both on the top side and on the industry side. So that was really fun for me. And I appreciated it. And one thing I appreciated too, and then we can move to the channels because I'm going to put them on the hot seat. Trey, for those who didn't watch my reveal video of the top silver packs. We have 3 Topps Industry Conference silver packs. We're going to shred them real quick. The great Brooks Robinson.
Oh, nice.
Very nice.
Number to 10.
Out of 10. All right, the next up, the great Edgar Martinez, Mariners legend. It's got logos on it, which I'm not used to.
Nice.
That's very nice. Texas Rangers, we got to watch them a lot.
Yeah, I don't know if you beat me.
Now let's see what. Here, just borrow that.
Yeah.
So Trey Huntsman, by the way, for those wondering, a guy named Fernando Tatis Jr. What's the number up to?
I think 1.
Let's see. Oh yeah, it's 101.
Yeah.
Trey pulled a 1-of-1 Fernando Tatis patch auto.
I got my case.
Oh yeah, there's a
Let's see
shot.
it.
Let's see.
I keep that thing on me.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I would too.
Let's see. Can we see that?
Oh, I can see it.
Which way is?
He beat my pulls of Brooks Robinson, Adrian Beltre, and it wasn't enough that I got
You got Edgar.
2 Edgar Martinez autographs. I pulled a 3rd, baby. So, but he's a
Yeah,
Hall
no,
of Famer.
no disrespect to those guys, but Tracy, you might have got the worst silver packs that I've seen of anybody pulled at that show.
It's on camera. If you check out our Instagram feed, you can see it live.
I can tell you definitely got the worst select repack box of anyone I saw.
I knew.
Yeah, he also got some real dandies too. So
I did.
Dandies, there it is.
I did.
Law of averages.
Speaking of dandies, the Channels brothers, while we were kind of doing our show travel business stuff, what were you guys doing?
I mean, all kinds of stuff.
I know.
We've been streaming on loop at our California.
How's that going for you guys?
It's going great, man.
Do you guys be honest? Like, you guys have broken stuff live on Twitter, on IG, on Loop. Do you guys have a favorite platform that you do that on?
They do all have their advantages, but if I had to pick my favorite, I'd probably say Twitter. Like
really?
Live on Twitter, I like the way that the chat is there and the way that just the whole platform. And every time I go live on Twitter, it seems like I feel like for some reason, that platform will, I guess, market it better, or like I feel like you get more people in the room quicker there. Whereas like when you're on Instagram or on Loop, like it takes a while for people, but like when you go on Twitter, within like 5 minutes, like you're probably at your peak viewership, like right at the start. Like,
okay,
it's pretty cool. Like, so if you have the ability to keep people's attention, like Twitter is a great way to do it, because I feel like it really gets your video on everybody's feed.
I didn't know you could go live on Twitter. That's wild.
I'd say the same for Twitter.
Bravery, right?
Because that's where we got our start on Sports Card social media. So we've been on there for so many years now that we really have like a Twitter family. And so when we jump on, like all of our followers we've known for years and years. Whereas like I started Instagram 2020, and then Loop, of course, even the last 6 months. So we're still building and still growing on the other platforms, but could definitely change. Everything is nothing set in stone, but for now it's definitely Twitter. But we have been back to the shop and what we've been up to.
Yeah, we've been up to a bit with the shop.
I know. I was not being facetious when I said that. I just
I know it just sounded funny.
Yeah, no, we've got a big update. We actually hired a muralist for California Roadshow for our. So when you walk in, it's going to be the wall on the right hand side, and I think it's 39 feet 6 inches is how long the wall is, and so
very specific measurement for the pod. Thank you.
You saw them,
dude. Look at we got the blueprints and everything. We gotta be specific because we have them printed out.
God forbid 40 feet.
No, but so we are now in the brainstorming stage of what exactly is going to go up there, and we actually we found our muralist. We agreed to work with her after seeing some examples of her work and everything. So that is on Monday. She's going to meet us at the shop and go over all that. So I'm really excited about that process, because
that'll be some good content.
Yeah, I've never experienced anything like that, and I really want to hear our perspective through an artist's point of view, and to see how that will all eventually, all these crazy things we got going on in our brains translate onto the wall of our shop, which would be.
You'd be surprised how many muralists are in the Bay. You probably wouldn't be surprised how many muralists are in the Bay.
She's from Berkeley, so
But it's like, so we saw her work. We're like, okay, yeah, we're going with her, because her work is fantastic, and we're really excited to see that translate to our shop, and I think you guys will love it. You guys and everybody else too.
That's content. Capture it. Just remember to capture it.
Yes.
Time lapse, start to finish.
Oh yeah, that'd be cool if we could capture her painting too. We'll go and we'll figure out.
Yeah, what are we doing? What are we doing here, bro?
We did have a small delay this week. Our electrical permits were originally projected to us to only take about 3 days to get approved by the city, but since our contractor wants to go down and look at the plumbing before we put the floors in. He doesn't want to do any work, just wants to look at it. And because he wants to look at it, they need to bring somebody out, which is going to take another week and a half. And so he's like, I can't not look at it, because I don't think there's anything wrong, but if there is, I would need to do that before we put all the new floors in. So it's
for reference, our shop was a restaurant in a past life. So there's drains where the kitchen used to be.
It's interesting because like these are the things that you don't anticipate that draw things out. Like I know for California and for Texas, like you guys are ready to rock. Like the contractors are ready to rip through this thing and get it done. And yet you both have some unexpected delays. You just mentioned yours channels. Cody, you want to talk about what's going on in Texas?
Yeah, so apparently it's not as simple as just getting a security system installed. And talking to David today, he said it was going to be a 6 to 8 week delay on that, which my construction is supposed to be done in like a month. So I asked David, I was like, so what am I doing in April? And he said, I guess inventory. So
Okay.
I guess we'll see how it goes. Unfortunately, none of that inventory can stay at the shop, obviously, with no inventory. So we're playing it by ear. It was one of those things where like I was on the phone with David and he's like 8 weeks, and I like muted it and I just like started like throwing stuff and like throwing my lawn furniture all over and stuff. But no, I mean it just seems like delays are just part of the process of starting a business and starting a shop of any type of retail space. Apparently they're just common because no one acts like they're a big deal. So makes me want to pull my hair out and scream at the top of my lungs. But apparently they're common in the space that we're in. Yeah.
And Cody, if you watch our social feeds over the next day or so, Cody took some pics of the latest developments in his shop in terms of the plumbing being completed. I think it's done now. They're just going to fill it in.
It's done. And Pat, it's so funny because today my roller coaster of emotions with the shop was just like it hit a peak high this morning because the contractor texted me, was like, hey, the city came out earlier than expected, passed all our plumbing stuff and inspection. So apparently that's like outside of electrical stuff, that's the only inspection that has to be done leading up to the final walkthrough. And they came out faster than expected, got all that done. And my contractor was like, all right, next up, framing, walls, doors. The next 2 weeks are going to be fast-paced, moving and grooving. And then 2 hours later, I have a talk with David, and we're in a big delay with security. So it's the highs and lows of building a card shop are very extreme.
Yeah, speaking of moving and grooving, one shop that's not really doing much of that right now is New York Roadshow. Kevin, you want to give us an update on
He's a champion, though. He won the basketball game.
So the first thing I'm going to say is if we're going to play this game, I'd like to be addressed as champion, Kevin.
Okay, all right.
Can
I call you champion?
Yes, le champion.
Kevin, like I genuinely think that you might have been the best player in the.
I wholeheartedly appreciate that. I had a very
last
good
game. He's the only one that could.
Justin was very good.
Trey, there were 19 timeouts called in the last game because no one could. Everyone was so winded.
How many timeouts did y'all get in that
Which
game?
made me like even madder because I was like, I could have gone down there and like just been a hero.
Yeah, Tyler hero.
Listen, I played against the competition that was there. All right, you guys all had the opportunity to play in that
stage.
Right,
I'm playing in front of Edgar Martinez over here.
Respect
on it.
My favorite quote of the weekend. We can cut this if you want, but my favorite quote of the weekend is Tracy comes up to me in the middle of Kevin's semifinal game, and he goes, "Man, if I had known who's playing in this, I would have suited up."
Listen,
yeah, I would have been impressive.
I tried to get a roadshow team together, but
you did.
Nobody wanted to do it.
You did, and
if anything, this should make you feel like better about
it. I was going to. They wouldn't let us do it.
I ponied up. I did it. I trained. I got the shots up in the gym. And then when it was a real game time situation, said shots went in. So,
yeah, no, you were clutch. You were clutch.
Hit a game winner in the first. I hit a game winner in the first round. Yep. Second round was okay, fine. And then I dropped like 13 in the finals. So it was decent.
Realistically, besides your team, who was the best player in the tournament? Like if you watched all of them, who was probably the best?
That big fella that guarded me the last game because that dude was a tractor trailer.
Yeah, but Charles Barkley breaking down the NBA draft.
27 fouls in the last game.
He
there was
did.
There was no foul limit. You could just hack people all
There
game.
was no foul limit. Listen, I was under the impression going into this tournament that it was going to be a sort of no blood, no foul situation because it's very hard to ref half court 3-on-3 games. It was quite the opposite, where if you tickled somebody when they were going in up for a layup, like it was a flagrant 2 and they got 7 free throws and all they had to do was hit one of the 7 to get a point. Like it was, look, I didn't make the rules of these tournaments. It was weird, but back to my damn shop updates because that's what the point of this conversation was. Throwback to last week, the carrier pigeon with the payment still has not arrived. No, I'm kidding. They look, my guys got paid. My guys submitted stuff to the town of Bronxville, who I still love and appreciate and respect all the work that you do. But they're a little hung up on a security gate. And they don't want us to have one. And they said, no security gates, no exceptions. So our initial blueprints were denied because we had security gates listed there. Other than that, basically everything was okay. So we are rocking and rolling, but just now we need to go back to the drawing board to figure out our optimal structural security. What are you going to do? Right. It's a battle that you're not going to win.
Yeah, it's policy.
And then we just improvise and we'll think on our toes and we'll come up with something else. The good thing is there is options, right? So it's not like we're at a dead end with no solutions. We just need to change the game plan a little bit.
Well, I think in the next few weeks, especially, we'll start seeing some rapid development in all 3 places. One place that might not have a lot of rapid development because it's already been developed is in Lexington, Kentucky, the Kentucky Roadshow. Trey, any new updates? I know you just got back to the office today. This is Wednesday, by the way. We're recording this. But what's been up the last week in Lex?
Cody will be in Lexington from Monday until Saturday of that week with Chase. Oof. Yeah, it's a lot of Cody time.
Lots.
If it's anything like the channels when they came in, it's going to be awesome. We'll probably go to Cheesecake Factory. It's just going to be loads of fun.
Now I know about Linda's chocolate cake or whatever that David introduced me to. I'm down David. I'm down for Cheesecake Factory every night.
What about Suggan's fish nugs, dude?
Fish nugs. No, we're going to go to Agave and Rye.
Don't go to that Cracker Barrel. That one's cursed. Don't go to that.
We're going to Agave and Rye and then Roxy. That's the big plans.
Okay.
For coming.
So when are you doing that, Cody? When's he coming? The
14th through the 19th.
Cody, why don't you tell our loyal listeners why you're going to Kentucky?
For training.
Yeah, Cody.
I don't know
what are you planning on
for training.
Are you training for a basketball tournament? Are you training for what are you doing?
I'm probably gonna have to go again if I'm gonna forget everything I learned in 3 months from now.
Wow.
He's gonna be a champion. Back. He's gonna be a champion shop owner. That's what he's gonna be.
That's right. Yes.
Because he's learning from the best. And Trey Huntsman.
It's mostly so Chase can go, and then I can just tell Chase, hey, handle this. You went to Kentucky, you know how to do it.
Yeah. It's we're gonna do just the basic top stuff. Like honestly, I'm just gonna let Cody do all the singles buying for a week so he can kill it for our shop. That's not a joke. Best singles buyer that I've ever seen. But no, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I loved having the channels here. And, maybe we'll do the same exact stuff we do with the channels. We'll watch Moana. We'll go to the Cheesecake Factory, all of it. We'll do it all together.
I love it. And speaking of the channels, one of them, the one on the right-hand side, is about to hop on a plane to Dallas.
In just a few hours.
Yeah. What's up with that, dude? You could come in to see me or...
Basically, Dallas is a chance for me to go to a Dallas show. I've never been to a Dallas show. Neither of us have. Represent the California Roadshow. And I'm really looking forward.
Right.
to the size of the show as far as a networking standpoint, a content standpoint, film some good videos. I definitely want to get out and see the Texas Roadshow. So I think it's a good opportunity for me to see what Cody's got going on, learn that area, just to be familiar with, because we went and saw Kevin, and so now we see Cody as well. And then lastly, I haven't been to a show in a while.
Take it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been to a show in a while. I think it'll be good to get out, stretch the old legs, do some more deals in person and all that stuff.
You will not be disappointed with the Dallas show. You will be blown away. When people say it's the second most important show aside from the national in the country, you're going to see that firsthand why. And you're going to see Buc-ee's, a great destination gas station that will knock your socks off with beaver nuggets. So that means next week's episode will be almost as jam-packed as this one. But our very own Jimmy Mahan, David Diamondstein, and Trey Huntsman have the Lexington Legends cards. And when did y'all go out there, in the summer?
Yeah, it was back in July. We had our own jerseys made, and they did cards of us and everything in their last set of the year. And they made their way to Atlanta, except 3 cards in the set.
Yeah, the 3 superstars.
The 3 you want.
Yeah.
But Kevin, just a heads up, they are available on Check Out My Cards.
Yes.
All right, I guess I'll have to go purchase them.
But that summer day when our beloved Kentucky Roadshow peeps threw out the first pitch at the game, our friend Jay from Mojo was there to document it, and here's what it looked like.
Yeah, I gotta get loose a little bit. Let's go.
Are you ready?
I'm great. I'm ready.
Are you ready, David?
David, you've been staying busy.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I got my air.
Hey, are you ready?
Yeah. Oh man, I gotta warm up. I don't want to 50 cent this thing and throw it in the ground.
What do you think? What do you think Jimmy's gonna do? He's throwing a strike?
I hope so.
Trey throwing a strike?
Straight cheddar. Straight cheddar.
He's been practicing his entire life.
Okay, let's see it.
John,
we're all here. Let's go. Are you excited?
That guy. And we're ready to go.
Let's go. Let's have a good time.
No, we're getting ready to do some.
It's a really cool ball. Look at that.
This is really cool.
I dig
So you're going to
that.
keep this and sign and keep it in the shop. You
I
have
guess
to.
so.
And now representing tonight's sponsor, Jimmy's Kentucky Roadshow, we have several first pitchers. First, David Diamondstein.
Yeah. David.
First.
Big D.
I get to go first. Here we go, baby.
All right. Next is Trey Huntsman.
Let's go, Trey. Oh, Trey.
Next is Jimmy Mahan.
Let's go, Jimmy.
Let's go.
Oh, nice one.
There we go.
And Jonathan Crackle.
Let's go, John.
One's wearing by the Legends tonight.
Oh, that looked like a great afternoon, Trey. That was awesome. So before we go, there's a huge UFC fight this weekend, and it's bad blood. It is like blood feud. Like a lot of these fights, they play up to sell pay-per-views, and they really like each other, respect each other. But Jorge Masvidal and Colby Covington, they hate each other. I think literally hate each other. Used to be buddies, close friends, trading partners, confidants, and then things went south, and now they're fighting. And that's our main event. That's how I'll be spending my Saturday night watching that. You guys have any words of wisdom regarding that scrap? I'm a big fan of Jorge. You're talking about 2 of the top fighters in the division. Colby is really, really good. He just can't beat Usman, but nobody can beat Usman. But he's given Usman trouble late in his 2 fights against him. And Masvidal's kind of been on a bit of he got put to sleep by Usman, and he's never been put to sleep before. So, But I wonder what kind of factor the like true hatred will play in this fight. Like, will Masvidal want to knock him out so bad that he gasses himself out and Colby dominates in the 4th and 5th round? I don't know, but I'm hoping for a Masvidal knockout, knowing full well that Covington is more than capable of winning, probably by decision.
I really hope that, like, most times when you buy a pay-per-view, you're like, you want your money's worth, right? I want this fight to end in like 10 seconds with just like one ridiculous, like right out of the bell. Like, that's what I'm hoping for this weekend.
Well, if it ends that way, Masvidal is
Covington, right?
No, if it ends in 10 seconds, it is a absolute.
It's a Masvidal knee to the face. 10 seconds in.
I think people are aware of that move now. I don't think
you can't do that one. You can't do that one twice.
But it's just going to be a good fight. No matter what the outcome is, it's going to be a high quality fight worth the pay-per-view buy-in my opinion. And
it seems like a pretty good card top to bottom too, with Bryce Mitchell's fight and everything on there as well.
Oh yeah. And the other big fight, Greg Hardy.
Yeah, Greg Hardy, who needs a victory.
Greg Hardy needs a win bad.
He does.
He really does.
He was kind of on a roll.
He couldn't get the Cowboys very many, so we'll see how he does this weekend.
He was on the way up, and then he got put to night by Tai Tuivasa, I think. Messed him up pretty good, or knocked him out anyway.
Yeah,
my dude.
I think that's next Tuesday.
He's my favorite fighter in the UFC right now.
Yeah. You know what's really interesting about this fight, though, as it relates to kind of bringing it back to sports cards? Both of these guys, obviously, Covington and Masvidal have lots of cards. Masvidal himself is kind of in the card game, as kind of a collector and a breaker. But this is a 5-round non-title fight. 2 really established dudes whose values have pretty much been set. So does a magnificent victory one way or the other elevate any of their values? What do you guys think?
I'm watching like
short term, yes, for sure.
Short term,
yeah, I definitely agree. And strategically, shout out to the folks who actually put this sort of care and consideration into their eBay listings. I'm watching like 7 Masvidal cards right now that all end like Sunday at 1:30 a.m. So I'm either going to get a deal on them or I'm going to pay an all-time high if I want them. But I love when people do that, like when they time their eBays to end.
Oh, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
But no, I think you see now, I mean, in the interim, similar to how we saw it, throwing it back to football when we were leading up to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow, right? Everybody took their Covingtons, everybody took their Masvidals, and they changed the prices on them, right? So a card from Masvidal that was $1,000 a month ago is now sitting at $5,000 or best offer, right? And it's just people are testing the water on them. But I think, like Cody said, the immediate impact will definitely be felt, because I think, again, with this WWE pay-per-view like feel behind this fight, people are going to want to be attached to it somehow. And I think that'll mean, okay, whoever won, maybe I'll add their card, a card of theirs to my collection.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, look, Masvidal has like 15 losses, right? So he's
been fighting for a long time.
Right. And I mean, Covington has losses too. So like, I think, those are both names that I think will hang around the title picture enough that their values will be fine. But I definitely think, like Cody said, we'll see an immediate spike for the win.
Well, the thing with Masvidal too that's kind of interesting to me is like, he's never had a title, and so his meteoric rise after the knee knockout of Ben Askren, and then the BMF title fight, bad MFer title that they made up when he beat Nate Diaz. And prior to those 2 fights, he knocked out Darren Till. So he had this nice run going, but he's not a champion yet. He vaulted to the top of the most desirable UFC cards, and then he lost to Usman twice.
I mean, that title's not going anywhere anytime soon.
No, unless I mean, I don't think it is either, but Usman's really good, and he knocked out Jorge, and Jorge had never been knocked out, and that's not Usman's game. So clearly, he's evolving as a mixed martial artist. And I could talk about UFC all night, but the Hackler household is open. If any of you guys, Justin, I know you're in town.
Oh, Justin's going to be around. You guys should watch it together.
Sure.
It's the Hackler House. We'll have it on.
It'll be fun. I need to learn more about this.
Joe White going to be there?
I don't know.
If you say yes, I'm flying to Dallas this weekend.
He's there
for both the UFC fights.
He's got all of our redemptions too. So,
what time is the fight? Do you guys know the time?
The pay-per-view card starts at 9
p.m.
Central. Yeah. Yep, 9 Central. And
no, it's a solid 9 a.m. Wembley fight.
I don't know where the fight is. They could be fighting in. They did some UFC fights overseas. Like
it's that vaunted 9 a.m. Saturday fight slot to get all the ratings. No, it's 9 p.m. Justin, when do you fly out of here?
Sunday at 4 p.m.
Oh, perfect. Then you'll be fine. If you want to come watch it, you're more than welcome at my house.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
I just want to make a quick note about UFC cards too. To your point, Tracy, of established fighters and their values not really changing much. UFC is in this really interesting point right now in the sports card world because it's the only sport, at least that I can think of, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's the only sport where we don't know about long-term fighters, right? Like we're assuming guys like McGregor and Amanda Nunes or whatever will hold long-term value.
One day you're going to say her name right.
Amanda Nunes? Isn't that how you say it?
Yeah. There you go. There it is. That was it.
But we don't know like an example of 52 Mantle is never going to go down, right? Or 75 George Brett or whatever. Like we don't. UFC is so young. Like we don't know the long-term trajectory. So it's really interesting now because a win or a loss, I mean, it's just all the way up or all the way down immediately after. But we don't really know that long-term effect on UFC cards. So that's going to be really interesting to watch over the next couple of years.
It's also so much tougher to build legacy. And Cody, I think you're spot on. But if you look at somebody like McGregor, whose prices are still high, right? Yes, he had, his time in the spotlight, but the further he gets away from the game and the further he gets away from contending for a belt or anything, what does that do, when he's not the shiny new toy anymore, right?
So I think McGregor is a rarity in that he's in the pop culture limelight so much it'll keep his value up. But
all right, Khabib, then use Khabib for example.
Khabib's a great example. That was something that I was talking to my brother about this weekend. Is there's a lot of people who don't think he'll ever fight again. Or if he does, it'll be, a little ways down the road for sure. And will he ever be a champion again is to be determined. But yeah, I mean, a guy who isn't in the spotlight, who's not in the limelight, who's not in the pop culture relevancy, but was one of the greatest UFC fighters of all time. What will his value be in 5 years from now if he never fights again? I don't know. And that's something that it is very fun for me to navigate through in the card world because it's almost like you're rewinding back to the early stages of cards and no one really knowing what those are going to do long term because really there's no proof of concept on what UFC cards are going to do long term just because they haven't been around that long.
Shout out David for loving proof of concepts.
Yeah, loving proof of concepts. Well, that has been a phenomenally packed episode of Roadshow Roundup. I can't wait for everyone to see it. I can't wait for us to get back together again next week and do it again. But until then, I want to thank all you guys. I love y'all. You know that. And we love you guys out and gals, guys and gals watching. We love you. We'll see you soon.